Doing well today. Don't forget to put your city and state in the chat so I can recognize you. Put your city and state in the chat, please. We are going to get started in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to get everything set up here for all of you, or for me, I should say. There we go. Hold on one more. Hope everyone had a good weekend as well. Yeah. Okay. Yes, everybody, put your city and state in the chat. Let's see who we have in the building. We've got St. Louis, Missouri. We've got New York. I'm going to be in New York actually this week, going to a conference. I'm actually going to see Nadja Roberts, who is one of our crypto experts, and she's speaking at a conference on Wednesday, and it's part of a group I've been a part of for many years. So I'm looking forward to meeting her face to face. We've got Tennessee, we've got Queens, New York, we've got Suffern, New York. Natasha, we still need to get on the books, so I need to email you again. We've got Virginia, Newport News, we've got Woodbridge, Virginia, we've got Atlanta, we've got Memphis in the house, another Atlanta, we've got Moreno Valley, California. I'm looking here in YouTube, and we have Philadelphia in the house. Everybody in YouTube, please give us a like. I hope you again are doing well today. So I got a text message about 10 minutes ago saying that one of our guests is having thunderstorms in his area. He's going to try to come on. The other guest, we're not sure he's going to make it because he's flying back in from out of the country. And Tawana is may not be here either. So you just got me tonight. And I am totally unprepared. So you know what? We're going to roll with it anyway. So the topic for tonight is, opportunities don't just happen, you create them. And what I wanted to talk about with everyone tonight was the fact that if we want to maximize our life, if we want to maximize the opportunities that come to us, we have to actually be in action and create things that we're looking for. So that was going to be the topic of the evening. It still is going to be the topic of the evening. Before we talk about that, though, welcome to the 10K Project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. How do we do that? Well, every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we do something called a Bet on Black pitch, where we invite a Black founder to come and present his or her investment to the community. And they are raising money through something called equity crowdfunding, which is governed by the Securities and Exchange Commission and FINRA. There is government oversight with regards to the type of fundraising that is done here. We have a lot of different projects that come through the 10K project, everything from tech to services, to restaurants, to all sorts of really great entrepreneurs and really great businesses. And we invest the way the rich do. If you would think that, 10, 15 years ago, you could have invested in Facebook, or 7, 8 years ago, you could have invested in Coinbase. Well, that's who we are. We do equity crowdfunding, so we get an early seat at the table and we are able to invest in businesses and see them grow and ultimately either be purchased or get on the stock exchange or things like that. So I see my guest here, one of my guests. So he's Gonna try to make it in. So anyway, but on today, we kind of talk about building Black wealth, and this topic is all about opportunities not just happening, that we actually create opportunities in our lives. So while Raphael is coming on, hi, Raph, uh, I'm going to tell you one of my stories of opportunities not just happening, how I actually created an opportunity. So many years ago, I was on a show on MSNBC called Your Business with a host called named JJ Ramberg. Put a one in the chat if you have ever heard of that show. Your Business. It was on MSNBC. It aired on Sundays. It was a nationwide show. Well, the backstory of that is that I started watching the show like 4 years prior to me being on the show. And every Sunday, I would get up, I would watch the show, and I would say, one day I'm going to be on this TV show to talk about my business and business plan writing. But I always had a lot of excuses. I was too big. I needed to lose some weight. That was really my big excuse, but it was just an excuse. And one day I decided, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go. I'm just going to try. I'm going to try to be on this TV show. So JJ would speak across the country. So I found out where she was going to be speaking in New York. I bought a ticket in order to go and see her, her speak. It was in New York and I was living in Virginia at the time. So I got on the train super early. I went to New York and I saw her literally as she was coming in the door. I run up to her and I say, JJ, my name is Cherie. I give her my spiel. I give her my book. And you know what she said to me? When I said, you probably get this all the time, but I really want to be on your show. She said to me, you'll be surprised how few people ask me. This woman has a nationwide, national, I felt prestigious TV show on a major network. And she's saying to me, you'll be surprised how few people ask me. So she takes my book. She gives me her real NBC Universal email address, not the fake Gmail or AOL that they give you when they don't really want to talk to you anymore. And she gives me her producer's real NBC Universal email address. I touch base with the producer. The producer says, well, we don't know when we can have you in, but, we'll let you know. A month later or so, I filmed. They said, okay, we don't know when this is going to air, but, we'll let you know. My father died about 3 months later. It was in January. Father died. I go down to Louisiana. We buried him on Saturday. On Sunday morning, my phone started pinging. Cherie, I see you on this show. How'd you do that? Oh my goodness, so proud of you. I always said that was the last gift that my father gave to me, was like, baby girl, you did it, right? You got on this TV show, you got on nationwide on this TV show after 4 years of saying and dreaming, about being on the show. So that is my opportunities don't happen. You have to create them moment, I'm sure that Raph has a lot of them as well. But Raph, say hello to everybody.
Mute myself. Hey, everybody. My name is Raphael Husbands. Real name, no gimmicks. I am the co-host, co-creator of Tweet Talk, the Black Wealth podcast, along with my co-host, Charles Oglesby III, JD. Some people may know him on the internet as Todd Millionaire. I don't think he's going to make it. He was overseas for his wife's birthday or something like that. I think he's on his way back, but I'm not sure if he's going to make it. But yeah, funny thing, some people may not know, even if you know the podcast, I am a member of the 10K project, just
Mm-hmm.
like some of you people in here. And if you're not a member, you should definitely become a member before the price goes up again. You know, because this has
Or
turned
join the
into
master class, which we didn't even talk about. So
right. Yeah, I hope
yeah.
you will talk about the masterclass tonight.
Mm-hmm.
When I first joined, it was a one flat fee. And
Mm-hmm.
this has turned into something totally different to what you guys originally saw it as, right?
Yeah, so yes, it has. But we have still stuck with the goal of lifting up the Black founder and of us actually funding Black businesses.
Yeah, it's great. I've discovered some really great black owned businesses through this platform. I'm
Hmm.
really grateful to be a part of this. And as far as the opportunities don't just happen, I mean that is really true. The mere fact that I have a podcast at all is testament to that.
Hmm.
Uh, Years ago, I started my own blog. Still exists out there, even though I don't add to it. Um, just writing about little financial tips I was discovering as I go along, and I wasn't really writing too much on it, but I came across a black-owned business by the name of Quelly TV. I know you guys are familiar with them,
Not only
and I
that,
started
they
following them.
pitched. They pitched at
Hmm?
the Bet on Black pitch.
Yes, I was upset that I missed the actual live filming of that. So I was following them, and they put out a post on Instagram saying they were looking for writers
Hmm.
for something new they were doing. And I was looking at the ad, and I said it's a little ambiguous for what they're looking for. On the very last day that you were supposed to submit an application, I submitted to it, and they wrote me back. They said we want to work with you.
Hmm.
You get on a call, and I got on a call with the founder, Deshauna Spencer, and she explained to me the concept. It was a new thing she was launching, kind of like a almost like a blog, like a news site, and she was looking for people to interview people, and but she wanted us to record them
Hmm.
through an app called the Anchor app. I never heard of
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So, so she wanted to do an interview, and then you will write a piece based on the interview. And she said, if it goes well, then we create a podcast. And I was like, okay. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was like, I don't want to be recording anything, but I want to be behind the scenes. I definitely don't want to record. But I just said yes.
Hmm.
So you don't really get anything, especially in the beginning, you don't get anything when you say no. You gotta say no, yes to a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
I just said yes and I'll figure it out later. And downloaded the app and I interviewed. She gave me the niche was entrepreneurs, black entrepreneurs. And I interviewed like four people. It was like a bunch of us. Most of the people dropped out until it was just me and this one other girl that was still in it. But the Shauna decided not to go move forward with the platform because most of the people dropped out. She wanted to do like a daily thing.
Hmm.
I suggested like let's just move forward with what we have, but she wanted to move forward with like a daily site and thing. So did four interviews. I still have them somewhere. Never really. I mean, they're out there in public, but never really saw the light of day. But I kind of got the bug. I was like, man, I want to do my podcast now. Do a podcast now. But I'm like, what am I going to do it on? But I had already started working with Charles. What was funny is I was doing my blog. I followed him on Twitter and Instagram. I found him through Erica Williams, and
Hmm.
we were following each other. And he put out a tweet one time about something working on the weekends, like, and I posted a link to an article, a blog that I wrote, and he came back and said, "Oh, that's dope article." And he says, "Do you mind if I repost it on my blog?" And I said, "Sure, go ahead." And he did it. and he was tweeting, and he said something. I hit like. He tweeted something again. I hit like. Then he tweeted something again. I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. That was real familiar. Like those are my words right there. You know, it's funny. I was like, okay. And then I did another article, and he reposted that, and then he hit me. He was like, "You want to just be a authorized writer on the blog, so I don't have to just be copy and paste." And I'm like, "Sure." So then that's how we started working together.
Hmm.
So, and I became a part of his stock investment group because his this was way before he was like famous. He started a stock investment group and a real estate investment group, and
Hmm.
his premise was we could do big. It's kind of similar to what you guys
Hmm.
had when you started. It's like a bunch of us put together with small amounts of money can do big things if we get together. And his minimums were like $25 a month.
Hmm.
We pool the money in the club and just buy stocks. I wasn't even really interested in the stocks, but I just wanted to get in so we known, like, so later on when if he closes the real estate side, like, at least he knows who I am. So that's how we got introduced to each other, started working on the blog eventually, and then one day it hit me because I was looking on Twitter and he would always post these thoughts about financial things, and people would say, "Can you expand on that? Can you explain that?" And I was like, "Hmm." I'm like, "Bro, we should do a podcast explaining your tweets."
Hmm.
You know, and no answer, crickets. They're saying, I'm like, all right, this guy got thousands of followers. He's a busy guy. Probably got 1,000 people in his DMs. Well, I mean, we talked, but he's a busy guy. His DMs are full. Hit him again like a week or two later. I said, bro, we should do a podcast about explaining your tweets. This time he was like, cool, sounds good. Let's do it today.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay,
Now
okay.
that
So
is Charles, because like I'm a person that like you have to get on my calendar or plan in advance. And the couple of times that Charles called, he's like, "Can you do it now?" I'm like, I don't have the lifestyle for that. But I appreciate
right,
anybody who is like that, who is like, "Look, you can we talk in 20 minutes? We're ready to record."
right. Yeah, so it's like it's for him it's actually better to catch him in the moment,
Uh-huh.
ask him like, can you do it and let's do it today,
Hmm.
then like you schedule him a month out and then
Yeah.
you know it happens sometimes. Sometimes it'll work and some every now and then it slips his mind or what have you.
Hmm.
Um, but he usually will just say yes though.
Hmm.
One good thing about him is he will say yes. So that day, we recorded. He was in the car driving home with headphones. We recorded. He got home, finished it off at home, and we've been rocking ever since.
Great. So, when we talk about like creating
Mhm.
opportunity, one of the things that came out in your story, and I've had a bunch of them as well, is sometimes the way that opportunity is created, you have to get through several no's in order to get your yes, right?
Mhm.
I think that that's a very important, uh, um, very important lesson for us is to not accept the first no. And I was thinking earlier today, actually, I was thinking this morning about just being a salesperson overall. Because I was listening to another podcast this morning, and this guy was talking about how many no's he has to go through in order to get to yeses, but he's one of the top salespeople in his company. And, my sales like conversion rate, I compared it to a group of other people in this organization that I belong to. The average was 11%, mine was 27% closing. But that still meant that 7 out of 3 people that I spoke with said no, right?
Mhm.
And I think that that's an important thing for us to recognize and understand is that if we're doing real estate investing, not every property that we want, we're going to get in our portfolio. If we're doing business deals, not every opportunity that we want, we're going to get, but it's a matter of putting out enough hooks out there, you know, um,
Mhm.
and then something always happens, right?
Yep.
Janet is saying, I saw a phrase this morning that said, no means next opportunity. I love that. I
Right.
love that,
Right.
Janet. What's your thought with regards to that?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, and sometimes no really, really means no right now.
Mm-hmm,
Sometimes people are busy, and sometimes for people who are really busy, their default answer is no
mm-hmm,
to protect themselves.
mm-hmm.
And um, you said like 7 out of 10 people said no to you. This is a
Mm-hmm.
cliche that people say sometimes, but it's so true. Like in baseball, if you if you if you if you hit 3 times out of 10, you go in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Like you failed 700 times out of 100, you're in the Hall of Fame. That is crazy to me.
Yeah.
And like some people say like it doesn't matter how many girls you ask for their phone number, you just need one,
Mm-hmm.
right? You just need the one. Who cares
Well,
about
you
all the
need the
other
right
numbers? It don't
one.
matter.
You might
Oh, he
need
ain't
you
not gonna
might
get into
need
all that.
15 in order to find the right one, but
Right.
okay.
And you talked about real estate, and people will tell you like you gotta look at 100
Yeah.
to find 10 that are okay that fit your criteria. Then you put orders on 3 just to get one.
Mm-hmm.
And even with that, like the odds are not going to always work out perfectly like that. It might be 200 before you get one,
Mm-hmm.
but it even up in the end. But even if it evens out, that's still 1 out of 100. And you got to keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I even think with regard to the family banks that many of us have started, family investment clubs, we talk oftentimes about my family doesn't want to do it. For whatever reason, your family
Mhm.
doesn't want to do it. You can't get them on board. Sometimes it requires them getting multiple opportunities and like seeing you in action, sometimes for
Right.
multiple years, for them to say, I knew you would make it. I knew you would do big
And
things.
to see
I'm
that,
ready to join you now. Oh, I'm
and to
ready
see
to
that you're
join you.
serious,
Yeah. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
and to see that you're serious too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially especially if it's friends or family that have known you for a long time, and you've been telling them that you're going to do this and you're going to do that for a long time, and you haven't done it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes sometimes people will say no just to see what you do next.
Yeah.
Let's see if he's serious this time. Or I've heard of people, I don't know anybody like this, but I've heard of people that you call their office, they say no just to see what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And to say they have a set number of no's they're going to tell you before they even listen to what you say. Because they want to see if you have that persistence,
Yeah.
you know, if you
Yeah.
really believe in what you're selling. And I mean, sometimes like you got to get in action, move in for people to see you, because sometimes people say no and then they'll come back around to you later. Like I reached out to Erica to get on the podcast, and I pretty yeah, no answer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take any offense to it. Like she's for those who don't know who Erica Williams is, she has like 60,000 subscriber YouTube. She's busy. She's got a lot of investments going on, a lot of things going on. So I didn't take offense to it. And you know what? Eventually, one of her VAs reached out to me to get on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
If you take enough action, keep moving, people will come around to you. And sometimes, and most of the time, they'll forget that you even reached out to them,
That's true. That's
which is a
true.
good thing about a podcast because people always have a need to get on and get the word out. Start your
Okay.
podcast.
Okay. But look, you've got my cell phone number and all of that, my email. So yeah, we'll definitely do a podcast on your end. I also think that sometimes we are unclear on what opportunities we want to go after. I don't know how other people feel about this, but every time I've tried to do too many opportunities, like nothing seems to work. I
Mhm.
I am the person who does better with like one or two things going on at a time, total concentration, total focus. And recently, I was speaking with an associate of mine, and we were talking about the fact that some of us are sometimes level 10 skills in level 2 opportunities. because I've
Mm,
I've been talking about, and I'll be transparent and honest, I have plateaued with regards to the amount of money that I can make in my business. Everything I've done, I've tried for the past 3.5 years, like it's just not working for me to expand anymore. And I was talking with him about it, and he was like, Cherie, sometimes you need to switch opportunities. Some of us are have level 10 skills, like I know that I do, but you're in a level 2 opportunity and you can't maximize yourself. You can't maximize your income. You can't, you know, live the life of your dreams unless you kind of grow out of where you have been. Some people, I always tease about this, especially with Black people. Some of you have been in that same dead end government job for the past 12 years. You know who you are. And I'm not telling you to leave your dead end government job today, but I am saying, maybe it's time to start again that family bank. Maybe it's time to get that real estate hustle on the side, whatever it is. But what do you think with regards to the level 10 skills, level 2 opportunity, and people kind of not really honing down on what opportunity they should be going after?
that's interesting. Level 10 skills, level 2 opportunity. Like
Hmm.
for one thing, if you have a job, you should always be looking at the market. Like you should definitely have a LinkedIn. If you have a job and you don't have a LinkedIn, like that's crazy to me. And
Hmm.
you should be getting people reaching out to you every month at least for opportunities. Um, and you
That's
gotta look hard.
interesting. Hold that thought, because that's interesting that you say that. If you are not being contacted for additional opportunities within your career, that may be
Mhm.
something to look at, because even I, within my company, I get people asking me all the time, do you want to come work for me? And I've said
Mhm.
no for many years. But yeah, if you're not getting that, if you're not getting people asking you that, then maybe it is time to either people don't know what you're doing, you're not talking about it or promoting what you're doing.
Right.
Your LinkedIn maybe needs to be enhanced. Maybe you need to hire somebody to help you, which, speaking of that, tomorrow evening we do have our level up your career recruiters coming on tomorrow evening. So you might want to come for that. But I did want to put a pin in that, or highlight that, I should say, Raf. Go ahead. So,
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you have a professional headshot. I gotta update mine.
mhm,
Shoot. Um, Brush off your resume. I
mhm,
gotta remember LinkedIn is a big old resume and you gotta have the keywords in there and all that kind of
mhm,
stuff. But yeah, you gotta recognize if you gotta take a hard look and see is this is this industry I'm in growing well industry like where I'm at, the company I'm at, is it
mhm,
growing?
mhm,
Am I growing?
mhm,
And is there a future here for me within this company?
mhm,
You know, you might have the skills, uh, you might have you might even be at the in the right industry, you might be even at a good company, but maybe there's nothing there for you. Maybe you burnt bridges there. Maybe people just don't like you there. You know, office politics is a real thing,
mhm,
no matter what industry you're in. You gotta take a long, hard look and like do an audit on yourself, on your job, your position, the company you work for, the industry you're in, and where the company is going. Also, what are your trans? This is hard for me. Transferable skills. You really,
mhm.
really got to figure out what are your transferable skills, because that's the easy way to jump from industry to industry. And you might not realize. Sometimes people don't realize what skills they have. Some
Mhm.
people have level 10 skills, but a level 2 mentality. Forget about the opportunities. They don't
Wow.
see the opportunities because they don't know. I had that problem too. Like it took people like leaving and finding out what they were getting paid, and it's like, wait a minute, I know. I'm just as good as that person or even
Hmm.
better. It's like really sit up and pay attention, man. Really sit up and pay attention and make things happen.
Yeah.
Make things happen. Get out there, even if you're happy at your job, get out there and see what's out there. On LinkedIn, I would definitely recommend if you want, if you're not interested in being an entrepreneur, you want to have a job, get LinkedIn Pro, whatever it's called. I forget what it
Premium, I
is.
think.
Premium, LinkedIn Premium. Pay
Hmm.
for that.
Hmm.
If you want
I
to make a
do.
move, pay for it because they'll literally call your phone. I'm like, how are you just calling me? You're not even sending me a message or an email. Like, you just calling my phone number. Like recruiters just calling me up. Like it's like, what's the etiquette there? But anyway, it's a big difference between a regular LinkedIn and premium.
Hmm.
And I would definitely recommend if you're looking to make a move, turn that on.
Yeah.
Pay for it. It's
The
worth it.
other thing that I would recommend is networking, and virtual networking as well as face-to-face networking, and they both can serve great purposes. So I was on a panelist last week or 2 weeks ago, and because of that, I ended up having a one-on-one Zoom with one of the audience members. And that's the great thing about Zoom is you could feel like you're face to face with somebody, even though he was in California and I'm in Maryland, right?
Hmm.
Um, Clubhouse, instead of using Clubhouse, and there are a lot of different rooms with a lot of different, I don't know what, happening on Clubhouse, and Tawana always teases me about that. But there are professional rooms within Clubhouse as well, where people do a lot of business and a lot of great networking. And I think that networking with purpose is an important thing as well. Going to face events. I go to now, this is a trick that I have with face to face events. There are four groups of people that usually show up to a face to face event: the organizers, the
Hmm.
speakers, the people who have the vendors, and the
Hmm.
sponsors. I will only spend a certain amount of money to go someplace where I don't have like a targeted person that I'm looking to meet, which is why for this conference that I'm going to on Wednesday, the tickets were higher than I wanted to pay. And for
Right.
me to, go 2 states away, I'm like, no, but but if I see a speaker or if I see a vendor, usually it's not a vendor, usually it's a speaker, the organizer that I want to connect with, that's when I will pay to go to a
Hmm.
networking event. And I'm very strategic about knowing what to say to that person and what I want from that person, so that I can have some sort of an ROI from going to that networking event. I don't even go to job fairs, and I wouldn't suggest you either, without like knowing this is the specific company that I want an interview with. And I'm going there to meet with this specific person in order to get an interview with this specific company, right? What are some of your thoughts with regards to this, with regards to what I just said?
Um, I agree. Definitely, definitely want to do in-person events, man. In-person
Hmm.
events are not dead. They're only coming back stronger than ever
Hmm.
since you know, the lockdown has eased up. People are tired of being locked in the house for 2 years.
Hmm.
Um, no matter what, even with the boost in technology, no matter how strong it is, it's like nothing will ever beat face to face.
Hmm.
There's just something about face to face, the energy you get being in the proximity of people. It's just something different about that.
Hmm.
Then you could say like, "Oh, I met you. I'm the guy you met in Arkansas or whatever." Blah blah blah. Say, "Oh yeah, 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 I remember you."
Hmm.
Versus, I was in the Zoom when you were talking the other day. It was one of the 80 people in the audience. Like, oh yeah, okay. But definitely get out there and conferences. I would definitely recommend to people. Also, try to get to the speakers, but remember, try to connect with the people in the audience. don't be one of these people that spend all day trying to waste like an hour trying to sit there wait on a speaker who may not even have time to speak to you for 5 minutes, he's moving on. Um, remember the people in the crowd, they paid money just like you. They're go-getters just like you. They're kind of people that you want to get in your network too, not just the speakers. They're like-minded people. They're just like you, especially if they're in VIP. You know, if they can afford the VIP, then they got something going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's much easier to make a partnership with somebody that you met sitting right next to you. You know, so I would definitely say go with an agenda in mind, like you said, for sure. But also make sure you meet the people there, connect with them too. Definitely.
Yeah. So we have a lot of chat here. So Beulah
Mhm.
is saying she stayed in a job 20 years for the insurance. She applied for jobs at big name universities, but their offers were less than the job that she had. You know, sometimes that happens as well. So you stayed where you were, which is fine. Then the question becomes, is there a way for you to get a level 10 opportunity outside of the university system, based
Mhm.
on some of the things that you do, some of the skills that you have. If you're a teacher, there are a lot of teachers who are making really good money doing private tutoring, for example. If you're an administrator, there are other people out there who um, get consulting gigs and things like that. So Beulah's saying, I tried for a job as a city manager using my transferable skills. I was shot down because I was an African American woman. They did not say that outright, but their questions were far outside the job. I wrote resume to the job description. Okay. Look, sometimes you have to talk to a lot of different people as well, right? Um, Talisha saying being present and consistently demonstrating your expertise can garner opportunities. I got my new role based solely on my consistency. One thing that Talisha is very, very good at is like posting multiple
Mhm.
times a day. Like you go into your LinkedIn, you go into the Discord that, we're a part of with Black Blockchain Consultants. She belongs to other groups. She's really good at posting and just being seen. And a lot of people will see her because of the consistency with that. So Natasha's saying, when you see yourself as more, you will have more. Level up your experience.
Yeah.
Beulah saying job interviews are different than before 2019. Okay. We'll talk tomorrow night with the recruiters about that. Latrice is saying, I like to volunteer for different events to connect with people in certain industries. I've been doing a lot of that lately, plus you're able to get in free. I like that as well. When I
Yeah.
was in college, that's how I did it. And I got into a lot of things for free. Just because I was a college student, I let them know I showed up perky and said I would volunteer. And yeah, you could practically write your own ticket. I was getting in $1,000 plus events just because of that. So
Mm.
Janet is saying with in-person events, you can feel the energy and body language speaks volumes. Latrice is saying exactly, and people love volunteers. That is true.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like help set up like months in advance, be a part of the committee and all of that. You could just volunteer to be an usher the day of the event, or
Hmm.
sit at the registration table, um or walk with the VIP speaker from the front entrance to wherever they're supposed to be, like people need stuff like that. Done. So yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's a smaller organization. So yeah.
So, and for this one is for Beulah.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what she has thought, if she's ever thought of doing, I'm sorry, keeping the job and doing something outside on her own. I know she may not want to be like some full-blown entrepreneur, but maybe she could write a book and stuff, publish.
Hmm.
And even in this day and age, having your own book, you can still leverage it to speaking
Hmm.
engagements, speaking events, and you have something online that you can just sell that while you're sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Leverage your skills
Yeah.
and stay at your job. If you maybe you like your job, you just want to get paid more. There's nothing wrong with staying there at least for now and seeing what you can do on the outside.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you though, Cherie.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying earlier about you reach a plateau in your business.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure I heard you say one time that you did not like the idea of um like resume for your own business doing
Mm-hmm.
resume templates. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, that's not my thing. So I don't write resumes anyway,
Not resume
but yeah.
templates. I'm sorry. Business
Oh,
plan.
business plan
Business plan.
templates? No,
Yeah.
no. So
So
for the
that's
people who hire me,
mhm,
a template doesn't work for them.
right.
So, and there are so many people who have contacted me and said, I tried to use this template that they got over here or over there, and I'm calling you because, they were pulling their hair out. So I know that I would never do templates. So yeah.
Okay. I was just checking.
But I like what Talisha's saying here. Volunteering your skills is another way to gain access. And then Latrice is saying, one of my friends volunteered for one of the events and ended up hosting the show since the original host couldn't make it.
Ooh.
That's another good thing, being a backup speaker, a backup MC, letting them know, letting whomever the organizers know that, hey, I could come at a moment's notice, I could fill in, things like that. I, speaking of just, what do you call it, events, I
Mhm.
knew a woman who was a professional MC. She made a lot of money as a professional MC. So some of you, that may be your thing. You like to introduce people and make audiences feel good and things like that. There was another woman I knew. She was a speaker, but all she did was she would be the final speaker at an event. And she would basically go through all of the other speakers' talking points and talk with the audience about what their main takeaways were from the different speakers. And the each participant would create an action plan based on the things that they learned at that conference. She did really well. So she never had to create any of her own content.
Mm.
So I do want to talk about what Talicia's saying about volunteering your skills, because that could be a great way in order for you to get into projects that are like 3, 4 levels above what you're doing or in a different industry. So, for example, within technology, within blockchain, crypto, robotics, AI, things like that, oftentimes you're able to take the skills that you have today and transfer them to somebody's startup project and start building your portfolio that way and networking with a new group of people because you are volunteering. Um, and it could be for a set period of time, could be 6 months, could be a year, however long it takes for you to reach the next milestone in that project. But what are your thoughts with regards to volunteering? Because I'm sure, when, well, I can't say I'm sure, when you started working with with Charles, with
Mhm.
regards to your podcast, I'm sure he didn't give you some 6-figure salary. But what are your thoughts about volunteering in order to get access to new skills, new people, things like that?
I mean, it's great. You ingratiate yourself with people,
Mm-hmm.
like especially if it's something charity related. Like people will. That's something that's near and dear to their heart,
Mm-hmm.
and you show up to help them do it for free. Like that's one way to get remembered. That's one way for them to think highly of you.
Mm-hmm.
And volunteering also, like at one point, right before the lockdown, I had become a I was about to become a museum docent. for those who don't know what docent is like a volunteer tour guide for a museum. So I was in that program. We were going through training, and unfortunately, because of COVID, it changed a lot. Everything changed. Everything got locked down and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't able to finish out the commitment, but
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't getting. I didn't get anything like from it, like money or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
you make connections with people that are in
Mm-hmm.
like different fields and different industries, and you come together for this thing that you share an affinity for, and you never know what that can turn into,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a job or a business opportunity or what have you. But it didn't go too far for me because my schedule changed and stuff. I just couldn't stick with it, but I did meet some very nice people that
Mm-hmm.
I never would have met if I didn't volunteer for that, and
Yeah.
I definitely highly recommend it.
Yeah. I do I do want to emphasize though that the networking that we're doing is for some sort of a purpose. It doesn't mean that necessarily every networking event that we go to is going to help us, reach that purpose, but in my opinion, I don't network just for network's sake. I network
Mhm.
with like, here's where my life is headed. These are the group of people that I need to meet in order
Right.
for my life to get to that next level. Therefore, I'm going to be involved in doing different things. Here's, where I want my next opportunity to be. So I'm
Hmm.
going to do certain things or gain certain skills for that. I will say another thing to do, which I haven't heard really anybody say, is let's say that you are studying for a certification, you need to get certified in XYZ. Put together a study group. Put together a study group of people, say, hey, we're going to meet on Zoom, we're going to meet on Microsoft Teams, we're going to go through the lessons, things like that. You will be seen as like an influencer in that you'll probably learn a lot more. And you never know where people work. They may say, oh, Raf led these study groups for us during the 6 months we were taking this Google cert. I really like Raf. I already work at this company. I took this cert
Hmm.
because they wanted to give me a raise and I'm gonna suggest Raphael as well to
Right.
HR. So consider doing that as well. If any of you are studying different certifications, hosting hosting a series of study groups as well. So there's a couple of things here that I want to read. Destiny is saying, what about if you have spoken on panels and facilitated events and workshops in another state and have relocated to a new city? How do you go about establishing yourself in a new city? I love this question. So,
Can I wait? Can I answer that real quick?
yeah, go
Short
ahead.
answer: do whatever you did in the old city.
So look, Eventbrite is a great place to start.
Yep.
Well, have a few things. Number one, is there a national association of whatever it is that you do or wherever it is you want to network? Do they have a local chapter? Go to Eventbrite, find some events that you want to belong to. Um, Going to different if you want to be part of Habitat for Humanity or some sort of volunteer organization like that. So yes, what Raf is saying, do whatever you did in the old city, see if it transfers into the new city, if those are the individuals that you want to network with within the new city. But pretty much every industry has its own association, and a lot of industries, depending on what city you live in, will have a local chapter. I would start off there. Uh,
Yeah. And like Talisha is saying, like create like your highlight reel, like
mhm,
all write down all those events that you've done, all the stuff you've done, put it somewhere, put it into like you can create social media like a media kit for yourself.
mhm,
And you can always say that I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. If you have any video, put together a highlight reel. Um, go to events like Cherie is saying, that similar events to the ones that you've spoken at,
Mm-hmm.
get to know the speakers, or especially the organizer, which might be even more important than the speakers. Get to the organizer, and sometimes if it's an event like in a city and it's kind of relatively small, nobody really pays attention to the organizer. Everybody's looking at the speaker, and the organizer, the person who put it together, might be a lot easier to get to than actual speakers, and you don't have to fight for their time. And you talk to them, and you kind of drop in the conversation, like, "Oh wow, it's really great event. Like I've done this type of stuff before. I've spoken on this," and they're like, "Oh yeah, really? Wow, you got another event coming up if you're interested." You do stuff like that
Yeah.
and create a reel for yourself.
Yeah. I've been known to volunteer to put events together or to, help with certain aspects of putting events together. So what Raf is saying about the organizer needing help. One of the other things I used to do years ago was I would show up like an hour early. Like, let's say the event starts at 7. I get there at 6, and I usually the organizer is there at that point, and they're running around trying to get stuff done. I'm like, I got here early. Would you like some help? They remember stuff like that as well. So
Yeah.
um, now, Beulah is saying here, I have pursued volunteer opportunities but have been turned down. I found the leadership doesn't want me because I have a lot of higher education. I show them I am humble. I do what is needed down to mopping, cleaning bathrooms, washing dishes, pots and pans, etc. What can I do different? Find a new network. Find a new
Mm.
network.
And don't tell me all your education.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's
Why
a little so strange to me. Like, what are you volunteering for that they even care about?
about your higher education? And even if you have higher education, I mean, that shouldn't either it's them or it's you. So let's cut to the chase. If it's them,
Yeah.
then you need to find a new community to network with. If it's you, then maybe what Raf is saying is right. Maybe don't tell them all your higher education, maybe they only need to know enough to know that you're most people don't really like care about like volunteer, yeah, unless they need you, unless you like volunteering to do their website and they need to know that you know how to
Right.
do websites. Most people
Hmm.
don't really ask that. So yeah, maybe, just asking them what they need. But my first inclination is tell you just find a new group of people. Um,
Yeah. Now,
so
real quick. Oh,
go ahead.
just to touch on the events thing. When we're talking about speaking to the organizer, there's
Mhm.
also, if you're new to the city, maybe you could put together an event. You put together an event, and then you make yourself a speaker. Like if you're running it, nobody could tell you
Yeah.
no. Or even if you don't make yourself a speaker, at least people get to know you.
Hmm.
I'll tell anybody in this chat, like, builders get known. Like,
Hmm.
people respect builders.
Hmm.
You put something together, no matter how small, you put it together. Like, the majority of this planet is not building. People
True.
respect people who've done something, no matter how small. Um, Organize your own event.
That's true.
Start your own podcast. Start your own community conversation. Maybe you think, like, I know somebody in my network, he wants to start like something in his neighborhood, talking about wealth. He thinks people in his neighborhood, they're concerned about the wrong things.
Hmm.
So he wants to start community conversations. Like, go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
Just do it
Don't
and see what it turns
overcomplicate
into.
it. Yeah.
And see what it turns into.
Latoya is saying, my company got business coaches from a national organization. They see our work to make our business better and the strides we're making. They invited us to be a vendor at their next invite that puts us as a go-to for our offerings in front of dozens of people in November. People have to see you are serious and doing the work before people acknowledge your skills. This is true. What Raf was just saying is that most people are talkers and not builders. So, and also people are looking for consistency as well. And I can sometimes be the queen of inconsistency. So I'm saying, saying this is like pointing back at me, that, people want to know that you're consistent as well. But the more consistent you are, and the more people know you as the go-to person for whatever it is, the more opportunities come to you as well. So, uh, so
Okay.
Beulah's saying
Yeah, I see. Yeah, read it.
I have been involved with the election across country doing phone banking from Oregon to Florida, for New Hampshire to California. That is a challenge because you get a lot of hangups. Volunteer, you have to have background checks. You have to complete some kind of application. Okay.
Mm.
All right.
Okay.
Um, Go ahead.
I was saying like I was wondering too, like what is she volunteering for some? So now she's giving us more like background.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know for this specific thing. I wouldn't have a lot of advice. I don't know what to say. I'm not sure what the end goal of volunteering for this stuff beyond like it's just something that's on your heart. Um, like I said, I think Cherie is right about volunteering and going to stuff with an agenda in mind. You're bringing something to the table, you should get something out of it too. Um,
Mhm.
so definitely be leaving the intention. I feel like Beulah's situation might be more than we have time for on this call.
Mhm.
No disrespect. Um, I'm glad she did give us some background on it, but what's your take on this, Cherie?
I mean, they could potentially be thinking that you have such higher education that you won't want to do phone banking, which again, Raf's suggestion of not telling them what kind of education you have. But then if you have to fill in an application with all of your background, then that's probably where it comes up. Maybe instead of saying I'll do phone banking, maybe you say, I really like this candidate, or I really like, I'm really passionate about some aspect of the platform, and letting people know that as you are also filling in the documentation, and basically saying, I will do whatever is needed. So that way they have an option of, is it phone bank? Is it something else? Maybe they see greater skills in you. The other thing I will say is to network with people. Um,
I just want to say
because
that.
if people like you, then they will find a place for you on these campaigns. So, uh, uh, let's say that you are in Dallas. I can't remember exactly where you are, Beulah, but let's say you're in Dallas, and let's say you are, I'm gonna shake things up, a Republican, right? Is there the Dallas Republican Party? Hey, is there the Dallas Republican Party where you can actually start, networking at the headquarters, networking, you know, paying the $250 to go to the chicken dinners, and networking with people there, things like that, so that people will see you as the asset. That could be another way of doing it. Beulah's in Tennessee, yeah. So the Tennessee Democrats, the whatever city you're in, the Tennessee Republicans, Nashville, Memphis, etc. So that could be a great way of doing it as well.
Yeah, because I was just gonna say that it just came to me like because now I'm thinking it's like this sounds kind of like I said, we don't know the full situation, but
Mhm.
it sounds kind of like the difference between putting an application online with everybody else
Mhm.
versus getting to meet the person, the hiring manager, and speaking with them face to face.
Yeah.
Um, like you got to find somebody on these campaigns or whatever that
Mhm.
you can talk to them face to face and get them to know you.
Yeah.
And maybe you could even bring up to them like, I've been trying hard to get into to a volunteering situation,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like I'm being rejected because of my education, whatever, whatever. Let them get to know you, your real side,
Yeah.
and we don't
Yeah.
beat them down with your qualifications and your
Mm-hmm.
education. My experiences. That's like you get them to know you as a person as well as you can within a short amount of time. Be friendly, whatever, and people will make a way. Like forget the application or whatever the process is.
Yeah.
Like we're just going to
Yeah.
bring you on board.
Forget the application. I will say another thing as well. Sometimes we aim too high as well, and I work with me here. I've met several lobbyists, and one of the things that they always talk about is like sometimes the best way to get in to politics and politicians is to start off with the local school board, the local city council, etc. So Raf was mentioning being the organizer. If you're doing fundraising for a governor or a state senator or a U.S. senator, they're looking at you to raise tens of thousands of dollars. But the local school board person, if you held a fundraiser for them, if you helped them raise $2,000, they'd be super happy and they would know who you are and you would like make your mark in the community as well. And then they don't care about what your education is, and you have a way of networking with them and networking with all of the people who care about the school board or whatever commissioner is out there or city council members, aldermen, etc. So again, these couple of ways for you to think about putting this together. Um, I see Latrice is getting congratulations here, so let's see what she has to say. I will be getting honored at a nonprofits award gala on the 15th because I volunteer with an organization that helps people of domestic violence. The founder loves how I share her events and attend them as well. I'm helping her plan a fundraiser, and she surprised me by telling me that I will be an award recipient. Congratulations, Latrice.
Yeah,
Ah,
real quick. So,
uh-huh,
man, so the funny thing is, there's so much going on in the chat tonight.
uh-huh.
It's hard to keep up with you guys tonight, man. A lot of good stuff going on in here, and kind of missing some of the points. Like, but I like when you said, be careful not to aim too high. I wanted to say earlier, also think about you're trying to network with somebody. Like, you go to these events with intention, which you should.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, have a list of people you want to speak to and what you're going to say to them or whatever. But just keep in mind, like, if it doesn't work out, then you try again later. But in the
Mm-hmm.
meantime, you're building little things. Like, you may want to do a huge event. Don't keep doing small events in the meantime. Until you can get to your vision, your dream event. Like, don't be one of these people that if I can't do it the way I dreamed, the perfect way, I'm not going to do it at all. Like, build your way up to your dream. You know.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think that you, when we're looking at this as a topic, it's kind of like being an ant in a way. The ant tries to go forward, he hits the roadblock, he goes to the left, he goes to the right, but at the end of the day, you're not going to stop the ant from getting where it wants to go, which is back to the farm, right? The ant farm. So I think it's the same thing. I think, if you were trying to, you know, network in a community and that ultimately you want to be a part of that community, sometimes you have to go through different people or try different ways in order to get in as well, but never ever give up. And I believe always be in motion because, again, coming back to our topic tonight, opportunities don't just happen, you create them. You create opportunities when you are in motion. And that's the biggest thing that I want to leave people with here tonight is some sort of way, like figure out what you want and then figure out how, like, what kind of activities you need to be doing in order to get there. And once you start doing your activities and once you start moving, people are going to look at you and say, oh, wow, you know, I want to get on Cherie's train because she's moving, right? Or I want to get on Raf's train because he's moving. You know, all of a sudden, Raf has, I don't know, however many podcasts, and now bigger people are saying, well, wow, you've got this many people watching you and this many podcasts. Now I want to be on your podcast. Right.
Right.
But sometimes that happens. Sometimes you have to start off with, I got two people listening to my podcast, my mom and my sister. You know, and you work your way up over time, as long as you don't stop, you know. So
Right. That is
yeah.
true.
So
Yeah.
go ahead.
Let's say, for instance, you have a podcast and you want all these big guests
Hmm.
and you can't get to them. Like, you got to keep recording in between.
Hmm.
Get the guests you can get
Hmm.
and build up a catalog. You don't want to get to the big guests that you want. And they say, well, let me look at your podcast. It's like, wow, you got like 2 episodes
Yeah.
in like 6 months. You could be working this whole time. Plus, also, like, if you ever listen to my podcast, Tweet Talk, the Black Wealth Podcast, on Apple, iTunes, and everywhere. If you ever listen, I remember one time there was a period of time, like I was like, man, I really got a long way to go, like my speaking, whatever. And
Hmm.
then I listened to like one of my early episodes. I was like, man, it was terrible. It's like, I was like, damn, I came a long way from
Hmm.
those first 10 episodes. And I didn't even notice how the big difference until I went back and listened to an old episode. Like, you gotta keep working and putting in the reps and keep improving, keep improving. And
Yeah.
that's part of making opportunities happen. Like, preparing yourself for the opportunity that you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So just circling back to kind of my final comments, and then I'll let Raf tell his final comments. It's again being in motion. So if your goal is a better job, then in motion could be fixing your LinkedIn, fixing your resume, networking for better employment, could be getting that certification, whatever it is that you need to do, getting in motion and like going back and listening to this again because I think we gave a lot of great practical advice to the point where I think I'm going to have somebody turn this into a blog, um, so that people can read it as well. If you want to start your business, then getting in motion with whatever needs to be done. Is it deciding what kind of business you're going to open? Is it filing your LLC? Is it getting your bank account open? Is it starting your social media? Starting your podcast, whatever it is, getting in motion, not just thinking about stuff, but actually getting in motion. If you want to start your family investment club or just start investing, period, getting in motion, do you need to download? Um, I'm not going to say Robinhood. I use Stash for my stock investing, or, I know that there are a ton of other apps that are out there. Are you trying to get into real estate wholesaling? Do you need to get educated? Do you need to watch some videos? Do you need to actually start putting contracts on houses and understanding that you're going to put 100 contracts out there and you're just going to keep going, you know? And I will say this about everything, but specifically about real estate, because this example came in. As you start getting into real estate and you start putting contracts in and you start actually being successful at wholesaling houses, people will start coming to you without you having any kind of banner signs up or anything like that, saying, my friend needs to sell his house in the next 5 days. Can you come over? Stuff is just going to start falling in your lap, but things do not fall in your lap without you being in action. So just figuring out where you want to be in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is, figuring out who can help you get there, what skill set you need to get there, what activities you need to do to get there, and just start moving and keep every day, every week, whatever time period is, keep moving forward, because eventually you'll get opportunities that you would never dreamed of coming to you when people see you moving. And Raf, I did see that joke about my hairstyles. Yes. Yeah, Cherie has had a lot of hairstyles.
I, I didn't think you saw it.
Oh, I saw it. But go ahead. Your final comments.
Um, made me forget. Yeah, like Cherie said, keep moving forward. Slow progress is still progress. Um, I'm sorry. Good, a little distracted there. Yeah, slow progress is still progress. As long as you're moving forward, that's all you can do. At your job, if you want to move to your job, join committees. Like you join committees and share expertise. People see you as an expert, call you the SME, subject matter expert. That's worked for me. People, and once people get to know you, I'll tell you, especially a job, like when people get to know you personally, all of a sudden you become smarter. All of a sudden, like, and they don't even know anything else, but they like you. All of a sudden, you know you're one of the best. It's funny how that works. Like you say, keep moving forward, move with intention, decide what you want your life to look like, what you need, what you want out of life, and go after it. There's different ways to go about it. Um, you might go the wrong way, but at least you're moving. And sometimes you gotta find out what's the wrong thing to do, so you can circle back and work your way to the right thing. You know, most times opportunities would not just land in your lap, and the ones that would just land on your lap and you're not moving, you're probably not going to be ready for. So, I mean, sometimes yes, but a lot of times you just won't be ready for it because you weren't moving. So get moving, keep moving, be intentional, think of different ways to get to your destination. They block one road, you take another road.
Mhm.
Can't get through the door, climb through the window. Whatever it is, for sure. Like, and Black folks, we can make it happen. Like,
Mhm.
that's the first thing. Whatever it is, we are good enough. We can do it. And subscribe to Tweet Talk, the Backwell podcast.
Yeah. Subscribe to Tweet Talk. Um, Raf not only has a great podcast, he also does things on YouTube as well, with Charles. You know, they have uh, their conversations with all sorts of people. And they do a lot of great financial and wealth building content as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight. Hopefully, we said something that will bless you. Don't forget Bet on Black Pitches tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Don't forget tomorrow at 6. Oh, I think it's next week at 6 p.m. I'm sorry. It's next week at 6 p.m. is the level up your career and doing career transitions. So that'll be next week. And this Friday is the final day for you to get into Miss Beverly's real estate class. If you want to get grants to help build affordable housing or rehab affordable housing, on Friday will be your last day to sign up. So I'm going to send a couple of emails this week reminding everybody about that. Okay? Join the 10K Project, the10kproject.com. Other than that, I hope you all have a blessed week. Thanks, Raf, for being my guest tonight.
Thank you for reaching out.
Take care.
Appreciate you always.
Absolutely.